Welcome, I'm Manik. Once again, I'm back. Due to the interruption in the previous video, we have just finished till that point that dramatic inventions of Sophocles in our part 1 video. Now this is the part 2 of that video lecture. In that video lecture, we will observe such things like that of first is of legend of Oedipus, and then we will focus key characters which are in the play. Then we will discuss about the typical plot structure of the play, and after that we will discuss the play using the Freytag's pyramid, and at the end we will have some important question and answer. So without further delay, we are going to that point, that legend of Oedipus. Legend of Oedipus is something kind of a so-called story around which the play is depended upon. And if you observed that legend, then you will come across that according to that legend there were three particular stories. That is, at first it is our today's concern, Oedipus the King, and then second, Oedipus at Colonus, and after that Antigone. All these three plays are based on that old Greek legends about Oedipus and his family. If you go back to the legend, then you will come across that Oedipus is a direct descendant of Cadmus. Cadmus was the king of a particular city, and the name of the city was Thebes. He was the first king, and then his son Polydorus came to the throne, and after Polydorus, his son Labdacus became the king of Thebes, and after that his son Laius became the king. And Laius was the father of Oedipus. So that's how the generation after generation kingship has been transferred. Now all the generations of the Cadmus family suffered a tragic fate in one way or another, and that tragic fate because of Laius, when in a battle, you can say in a combat, when Laius lost against Amphion and Zethus. These two men, Amphion and Zethus, were the sons of Zeus and Antiope, and at that combat Laius was supported by a very gentleman, and the name of that gentleman was Pelops, and that Pelops was the son of Tantalus. At that battle Laius was defeated, but Laius was supported by that man Pelops, but instead of doing any justice to that man, Laius captured Pelops' son, that is Chrysippus, and it is a kind of ungrateful incident, and this ungratefulness brings a curse upon Laius, and his whole family over next 2 generations were cursed down by god Apollo. And that information is put like that: when Laius gets back his kingdom after the death of both Amphion and Zethus, however, Apollo warns Laius that his son will kill him one day as punishment for his abdication of Pelops' son. And that's how the curse begins. And the next generation of curse was impelled like that of killing Laius by his son Oedipus, and the next curse was that of marrying his own mother by Oedipus. So this is how the story will progress. Now let's talk about the key characters of the play. First of all is Oedipus. You know, Oedipus is the central character of the play, and around whom the whole incident was going on. Oedipus came to the city of Thebes at a critical point when the city of Thebes was attacked by a creature, and he put forwarded a riddle, and if anybody failed to give the actual answer of it, he was thrown into the life of death. So that's how the critical situation was going on, and after coming into the city, Oedipus saves them and became the king of that city. But if we try to trace back the character of Oedipus, we will come across that Oedipus is a very much boastful kind of person. Due to his pride, due to his search of something which one should not to do, and by searching of it, by giving more emphasis upon his own fate, and he bring back the misfortunes, he brings back the turmoil in his life, and this pride, this ever emphasizing, ruined his life at the end. And if you go back to the next character, our next character is the queen actually, and the name of the queen is Jocasta. Jocasta's character is very much interesting. She is at the same time the mother of Oedipus, and at the same time she is the wife of Oedipus. So the relationship between Jocasta and Oedipus gives a critical term in our literary theory, and especially it was used by Sigmund Freud, and the term was unconscious also by Jacques Lacan. And the very concept of Oedipus complex, that is a mother's attraction to a son and a son's attraction to mother, is vividly explained by him, and such kind of a story is put forwarded to us in that play. If you talk about the character of Jocasta, Jocasta at the very outset of the play seems very much moral, very much ethical, and she always suggests his husband, that is new husband, that is Oedipus, that all the prophecies are meant for to make people afraid of it, and nothing of them is a kind of real thing to all. But at the end of the play, we came across that all the prophecies are real, and she committed suicide by hanging herself. So this is how the character of Jocasta came to us in the play. Now the next character is Creon. Creon is the brother-in-law of Oedipus, and simultaneously he is the brother of Jocasta. His role is very much important in the play because he was the man whom Oedipus sent to god Apollo to know about the actual cause of the epidemic or the disease which was attacking all the thieves. So he came back with the result, with that prophecy, and in the play he was abused by Oedipus, he was condemned by him, and he was given the guilt of killing that King Laius. At the end we find him that he became the king of Thebes after the banishment of Oedipus, and his role is very significant in this perspective of the play. Now let's talk about the next character, and our next character is Tiresias. Tiresias is a blind philosopher, you can say, a blind prophecy maker, and he was also have the similar kind of place like that of Apollo in the eyes of the thieves, that is the people of Thebes. But in the circumstance of the play, he told everybody that Oedipus was the actual murderer of the king, and he was the ultimate reason of this plague by which all the people of Thebes are suffering. But he was condemned by Oedipus in the story, but he also cursed Oedipus that his condition, that means Oedipus's condition, will be like that of, as his blindness was threatened, his blindness was cursed upon in front of all the people. So it is a kind of humiliation to him. So such kind of incidents will occur to him. It's a kind of a Oedipus prophecy. Now, other minor characters in the play. There are characters like messenger from Corinth and a shepherd who once served in the house of Laius. Then two daughters of Oedipus, and they are named Antigone and Ismene. They are the young daughters. Now another character, rather a band of character, chorus. Chorus is a group of Theban elders here, and they are leader who comment on the events of the drama and react to its tragic progression. And mainly their role will be traced during the play, and their role has been put forwarded with the typical plot structure of Stasimen. Okay, we will know what is actually Stasimen later. Now that typical structure of the play. Actually, we have till now come across in our syllabi, that is in UG and PG, plays having 5 acts, or maybe in some case 3 acts, 2 acts and 1 act play, and there are some scenes and other things. But here we will come across for the first time a difficult, not difficult in that sense, there is a traditional kind of ancient kind of typical structure. First of all, we have here prologues. Just keep in your mind the actual spelling. It is some kind of difficult spelling, not it's a kind of strange spelling, prologos. It's a kind of introduction to the play, and that sets the scene of the story, and it gives the background of the actual story. And after that we will find paradox. Paradox is something that introduces the audience, and it is usually done by the chorus and their role in explaining the story. And next will be episodes, and this is the actual place where the approaching of the story will go on to the climax, and then to the falling action, and at the end to the denouement. Now next one, Stasimen. It is also Stasimens in plural. It is about the chorus's response to the episode that precedes it. Okay, and after that we will have Exodus. Exodus is a kind of final chanting, is a final explanation or final comment, focusing on the moral of the play. Now let's talk about some of the structure which we have already discussed, and how it is used by Sophocles in the play. First of all, prologues is about 1 to 150 line, and after that the paradox from 151 to 215 line, and then episode 1 from 216 to 462 lines. And Specimen 1 from 463 to 500 lines, and after that episode 2, and then specimen 2, and after that again episode 3 and specimen 3, episode 4, specimen 4. This is the last specimen. After that episode, and at the end Exodus. So that's how the actual storyline goes on. Now let's talk about the play using that so-called Freytag's pyramid. The whole drama has been 5 typical things at the bottom here in the introduction portion. It is a kind of exposition that means by giving all the characters in front of you, this lack of complication of stories begin, and that point, that beginning of that complication is called rising action, and the topmost peak where the action turn to the different mood, that is called climax, and after that part, that means that right side part, it is called falling action. Here the complication has been started to revolve, and then at the end resolution or denouement. Here first is introduction. The play is introduced at certain point when Oedipus saves the countrymen of Thebes from the Sphinx by solving the riddle, and he became the king of that particular city. Then Oedipus married Jocasta, and after marrying he had some children from Jocasta. After that, few years later, a plague inflicts upon the city of Thebes, and many of the people of Thebes were died due to that disease of plague, and they were very much helpless, and they are in a state of frustration, and they now came to King Oedipus to have the glimpse of it and to bring out the solution of that particular problem. Then we find that in the story Oedipus sends Creon to Apollo's shrine for help, and at that critical situation Creon returns back, and he talked in front of all the men what is actually the message of Apollo. Apollo wants Oedipus, that being the present king, to find out Laius' killer, that being the previous or former king's murderer, and by finding him they need to punish him by banishing him, and by this punishment the sin will be resolved. Actually, it is the prediction of Apollo that the murderer, that killer, is still in the city of Thebes, so they need to banish him. That's the actual punishment. Then number 6, at that point Oedipus consults the old prophet Tiresias for help, and that blind prophecy maker came to the stage, and he was helped by a little boy. Actually, that man was blind, and reaching there, he was not in a mood to tell everybody that who killed Laius. Actually, he knew really well that the killer is Oedipus himself. So by revealing it will come impediment, disaster to the king. It will not be accepted by everybody, and they will become once again helpless due to the actual leader. So Tiresias' main intention was to hide the secret, but that moment Oedipus infuriated by the untelling kind of tendency of the Tiresias. After that, we come to know that rather that Jocasta and Oedipus swap stories about similar purposes. That means Oedipus told Jocasta that once he was in that particular city, and when he went to the oracle of that particular city, and he came to know that when he become an adult, he will kill his father and marry his own mother. And that prophecy was haunting him very impudently, very disastrously. And as a result, he left his own city, Corinth, and then came back to that particular city of Thebes. And the similar kind of story is also revealed by Jocasta, that she had a son, both Laius and her, and they had to leave that son. The similar kind of prophecy that the son will become an adult one day, and he will kill his own father and also marry his own mother. After that, a messenger reveals who Oedipus's true parents are. That means, after the death, a messenger came with the news that Oedipus's father, that means Polybus, is dead, and his death is normal. So at that point, Oedipus was feeling very happy that one prophecy is now becoming very much futile, because his fate was that he will kill his father, but now his father is dead. Now he is little bit in free mood. But a messenger revealed that Oedipus's father is not actually Polybus. His father is somebody else. Actually, he found that boy from a safe word. So the story revealed. And after that, Laius's former servant confirms the story. So Laius's former servant confirmed that I have given you, that means he has given Oedipus to that messenger, and he gave him to Polybus. Now everything is clear. So we are going to the peak point, that means the climax. Oedipus realizes Tiresias was right about him, and he is now shrouding with fear, he is now shrouding with nostalgia, and his fate is now going to be changed. Jocasta realizes who is actually Oedipus, and with the disclosing of same, with the own negligence, how bad she is, because she was married to his own son. It's a kind of a proper sin. So to get rid of from that sin, she killed herself. She hanged herself and she committed suicide. After that, Oedipus, in that state of psychological disorder, he could not find what to do and what not to do. And at that time, he was remorsed, and in his remorse, he blinds himself. After that, we find that Oedipus decides to get out from that city, to go very far from that city and leave that particular place, Thebes. Now we are at the end, that means at the exposition, or the resolution, or you can say denouement. Oedipus now giving all his authority to the brother-in-law, that means Creon, and he is now king, and he asks that to guard the city and to guard the children of him too. And that's how the play ends. Now let's talk about some question answer. Actually, the title here seems like it's answer. No, it should be questions. First question: what is the priest doing at the beginning of the play? First question. The second question: what information did Creon get from the oracle at Delphi? Third question: why didn't anybody or anyone go investigating the murder of Laius when it happened? Fourth question: where was Laius killed? And the fifth one: who gave Oedipus to Polybus and Merope when he was a baby? Sixth question: where did Oedipus's birth parents leave him for dead? Next, whom does Oedipus accuse of plotting against him? Next one: who became king at the end of the play? Then, what is Oedipus's tragic flaw? Next, name the center place in Greece where the dramatic competition occurred. The last one, but not the least actually: what are the two other plays in Sophocles' trilogy except Oedipus the King? So this is some sample questions. Just try to find out the answers of it, and the answer will be given later, but now I am giving it. The answer is like that here. Just keep note of it, just pause it, and just observe, just look after it. Is your answer, are your answers right or not? Thank you and have a good day.